Bonjour, mes amis. As promised, here is an explanation about our quiz that we had last week on the relative pronouns qui and que. So let's look at 3 rules that we need to keep in mind when we're doing this. The whole purpose of what we're doing is to avoid repetition. That's what pronouns are for. Remember, we talked about this in class. So what we did was we took 2 short sentences and then combined them into one longer sentence using a relative pronoun, either qui or que. So our first rule, you're going to look for the repetition in those 2 sentences. Find that repetition because that is what's going to be replaced by one of the pronouns. The second rule, qui replaces the subject of a sentence and is followed by a verb. But be careful not to be fooled because sometimes there might be an indirect or object pronoun in front of the verb. So what you need to make sure of is when you see something like that, when you see nous or vous, the verb that follows, is it conjugated for nous or vous? If not, then it's a pronoun, not a subject. And it's important to remember that qui is going to come before a verb. Qui acts as a subject. Que we use to replace the object of a sentence, and que is going to be followed by a subject. And again, it's conjugated verb. So you need to make sure that the verb that is following what you see there, that pronoun that might be there, you need to be sure that it's conjugated for that pronoun. So let's look at number 1. Je connais le facteur. I know the mailman. Le facteur nous distribue le courrier. The mailman distributes the mail to us. So this is a perfect example of what I was just talking about. Here's our verb, distribue, but in front of it we have nous. Now you can see that distribue is not conjugated for the subject nous. Therefore, nous is not a subject. It's actually an indirect object pronoun. Le facteur, the mailman, distributes to us the mail. Okay, so to us distributes the mail. You know that word order is different in French than it is in English. So when I join these 2 sentences, I'm going to look to replace le facteur because that's where my repetition is. So which one am I going to replace? I'm going to replace the second one. Je connais le facteur qui nous distribue le courrier. I know the mailman who distributes the mail to us. See how this qui is followed by a verb that matches it as far as conjugation. This nous is an indirect object pronoun. That one's tricky. Let's look at number 2. Je n'ai pas eu le temps de lire la lettre. La lettre est sur la table. So of course, my repetition here is la lettre. I need to get rid of one of those. Which one am I going to get rid of? Well, I'm going to get rid of the second one. And that, again, is a subject. Je n'ai pas eu le temps de lire la lettre qui est sur la table. So I'm replacing this la lettre with this qui. Qui now becomes the subject of that clause. And as you can see, it's followed by a verb. Tu aimes recevoir les lettres, je t'écris les lettres. You like to receive letters, I write the letters to you. So we're going to say, do you like to receive the letters that I write to you? So our repetition here is les lettres. This time, it's an object. How do I know? Because it comes after the verb and it answers the question. I write the letters to you. I write what to you? Oh, the letters. When you can answer the question what, then that's how you find your object. So I'm going to use que because like we said up here, que replaces the object of a sentence. Tu aimes recevoir les lettres que je t'écris. So what do I have here? I have que, that, je, there's my subject, écrit is my verb that matches my subject, and this t apostrophe, that's an indirect object pronoun. That I write to you. Numéro 4. Tu as parlé à l'employé, l'employé travaille à la poste. Where's my repetition? L'employé, right? So I have to replace one of them. Here, l'employé is a subject. So I know I'm going to use qui. I'm going to replace this subject of the second sentence with qui, and then qui is going to serve as the subject of the second phrase, the second clause in the sentence. Tu as parlé à l'employé qui travaille à la poste. Here I have qui plus a verb, and the verb is conjugated for qui. Last one. Tu as le colis? Je veux peser le colis. You have the package? I want to weigh the package. What do you want to weigh? I want to weigh the package. I know then that it's the object. So now I know that I'm going to use que. Tu as le colis que je veux peser. You have the package that I want to weigh. You have que, a subject, and a verb. And that's it, my friends. That is the whole quiz in a nutshell. So we'll talk about this in class, and hopefully it's starting to sink in a little bit. I will see you this week. Au revoir. Bonne soirée.